Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today my Craft Roulette Challenge number 239, a hidden swivel surprise card. So for this one, I'm bringing in my sketches, and I decided to go with this lower corner sketch. And then, of course, I'm bringing in a Fawn's new swivel surprise. I have yet to play with it, so this was my inaugural cutting and working through that one. I also brought in the You Goat This stamp set because, of course, one of them was farm this week, and so I felt, you know, goats, farm, it worked. I also brought in the Fun on the Farm paper pad by Echo Park Paper, and I'm going to use that one for all of my pattern papers for this one. I felt it had those picnic style colors, that red check, and you know, it's farm, so picnic on the farm. We tend to do that frequently here, living on the farm and all. Anyways, so I got all of my pieces cut for this one. Now I'm going to wiggle a little bit on this one. So if you use 6x6 pattern paper, and a lot of them have that little hole on the top, so I think it's like ends up being like 6 1/4 by 6 inches. Well, I like to use that one if I can and kind of wiggle it so you get a little bit more paper usage out of your 6x6 paper pad. Because I knew where my elements were going to be on this one and I was going to cover up that hole, I made use of it. So never be afraid to use that top part, you know, because if it's going to get covered, nobody's going to know that it's there. A lot like when I die cut parts of the background out that are going to be in layers to get more, you know. I don't like wasting paper. I know. Not that I don't have enough, because I have plenty. But, you know. Plus, it cuts down on the weight. Not that little circle, but the bigger ones cut down on your weight of your card for mailing. Yeah, I have that a lot. So I just kind of made sure that my little goat was going to fit in the window there. Don't worry, I don't end up using that one on the front. But, you know, that was my initial plan, was to do that one. So I also brought in the Fawn's Hey There stamp set for the other little goat that's sitting down, and the fence. So I stamped all of that out, set that off to the side. So this was my inaugural, or my initial making of this one. So I did pull up Fawn's how-to video. I actually didn't get to watch them. I think they came out in August, and that week in August is always super busy for us, so I did not actually watch any of them. But I pulled it up and kind of just got it to the part where Kelly Marie puts this interactive together, so I could figure out how it kind of goes. So I've seen a couple of cards with it done, so I kind of know how it works, you know, overall, how the look that it's supposed to do. And so I just needed to know where my adhesive was supposed to be going. The rest of it was fairly self-explanatory. I think I might be able to modify this one enough to be able to put it on the front of a card, but since this was my initial making of this one, I chose to, you know, do it as it was supposed to be done. Well, yes and no, because I'm going to try to wiggle it, and then I can't wiggle it because it just doesn't work. But I kind of wanted to wiggle it differently. But I end up doing it as it is intended for all of it, and then, you know, you've got to learn, right? So sometimes learning to start really works well. And so I love the fact that this one is, you can test it out as soon as you put it down. You can make sure that it's all working. I do like to use both liquid and the double-sided adhesive for all of my interactive parts and or cards. I just like the instant stick, and then the, I don't know, the security of the liquid glue on it. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how this one goes together and working from there. I know that I need this little seat piece, so that little piece with the, I don't know, the score line in it, it kind of gets added on as a little seat. Now I didn't put the circle on there because initially I was trying to not do the circle, and I wanted to do my little goat kind of just jumping out. He just wasn't tall enough. I couldn't get him on there far enough. I hope that makes sense. Like, just his positioning on there wasn't going to work for what I needed it to do on this one. So, you know, I've learned a little bit, and next time maybe I can just do my stamped image on there instead of the circle. But, you know, it worked this time. So I'm adding that circle. I love the fact that Fawn makes these fairly easy to line up, so it's just a matter of lining it up onto the circle, onto that curved line. And then, of course, you know, adding in the little seat here with the little X on there, so X marks the spot, and that just makes it so much easier for, you know, the initial building. I tend to play with my interactives and kind of work them to work for what I want. A lot of times I have to do the first one as per intended, but it's kind of fun to, you know, see them come together and then kind of think about ways that I can modify. I like modifying things. It's just my thing. We'll go with that. So for this one, I'm going to add that little seat. So the seat is facing you, and that's where that circle that is cut out on that big circle. So that bigger circle in, I don't know how to, so that one that you can see on the screen, that circle is cut out with, I did the same color paper, so I wanted my outside ring to kind of match my inside ring, kind of making it like the sky or the scene per se. So I'm trying to build a scene onto the inside piece here. So I'm going to add that double-sided score style tape. I think I went with the 1/8 inch there because it's a smaller piece. And then I'm going to add in my circle here, kind of trying to center that on the center here. And then, of course, making sure that it's all going to work. Plus, with an interactive card, the more you play with it, the better it works. I hope that makes sense. I don't know, paper kind of has a memory to it or whatever, and so the more you're opening it and closing it, those crease lines are going to kind of wear in a little bit better, and it's going to work better. So if you have issues with interactive cards, play with them a lot. Make sure that they're moving like they're supposed to be moving. You know, figure out how they work. Those types of things. It's usually how I learn how they work the best, is just continually playing with them. So for this circle here, I'm going to make sure that it's at the position it'll be when it is the card is fully open. So you'll see that it turns this way and that. And so once I have that in place, I want to, you know, my circle to be, or my grass to be on the bottom of my circle, so it's not kitty wampus on there. And then at this point, I can continue building the front of the card and kind of go from there. So I grabbed a coordinating red cardstock for that front piece there. And that's when I say I kind of die cut out the centers. It cuts down on the weight, but also, you know, I don't really need that whole sheet of red underneath there. So this way I get, you know, a little bit more mileage out of my nice heavy cardstock. And so it works for me. It's one of the benefits of having dies. So I brought in a smaller size die for that one and then cut that out, and then of course matted on my farm back pattern paper there. And then I'm going to bring in my strip of paper here, cut off the little bit of overhang on this one, and then I will work on building that other bottom piece here. Now you saw that I just cut this apart because my little banner die wasn't quite long enough for what I needed it for. So instead of doing a double die cut, I can just cut it apart and move it, you know, extend it. You're not going to see that part that's behind there anyways, kind of like that circle, you're not going to see it. So don't be afraid to, you know, modify and cut things that are going to be hidden anyways. It works well. You know. So for this one, I decided to kind of match that inside of my card to that front little panel course. It's kind of like making a little mini scene on the front of the card that kind of matches on the inside of the card. So for this one, I did pull in some colors. Here are the colors that I ended up using. All of them are the Ohuhu line, or the Ohuhu markers, the Oahu line. And, you know, I just kind of went with some neutral colors there. I didn't do anything too special on the coloring, darkest to lightest, and, you know, worked from there. I went with natural goat colors. So I'm going to add in my green piece of scrap, or my green grass here. And then I will add in a border around this one and just kind of lay that over the top so it works. And then this is where I switched my mind and decided to go with a little goat that is sitting down, because, you know, ultimately, I guess he kind of goes with the one that's going to be jumping on my inside mechanism, color-wise. Did I plan it that way? Maybe. So here's where I'm trying to, and we're going to call him Frederick because my niece has goats and they're at the farm all the time, and Frederick is always on the outside of the fence. The grass is greener there. He likes it. It's tastier. I don't know. So this is where Frederick's just not going to work where I want him on here, and I realized it fairly quick because most of him is covered. And so I wanted his little hooves to be all the way out, and it just wasn't going to work like I wanted it. So, you know, I could have done him on this piece here, but it wasn't going to give me, you know, he'd have been going backwards. So if he was jumping the other way, I could have done him on that circle, but because I wanted him to jump on this one, I did end up just bringing in the inside circle piece that piece cuts out anyways. So I wasn't too worried about it. It's just an extension of the sky. So, you know, sometimes we have to change our, you know, modus operandi, what we were planning on doing. And, you know, it works just fine. So this way I could get him a little bit further out and make him look like he is jumping. So he's jumping in the sky just moves with him. That's all good, right? So I also want to kind of cover up that white tab, because that white tab is kind of, because that inside circle goes underneath it, I just kind of wanted to die cut a little piece out here. So I just took the die cut it out, you know, just a little. I only ran a partial way through the die cut machine just so it was going to line up. I could have definitely measured it and cut it with the other, but this just was easier to me to just cut it this way. I knew it was going to fit on that white piece perfectly. And then I'm bringing in some green here just because I want it to kind of line up. I didn't measure it per se, which I definitely could have done, you know, the whole measuring thing and all of the other things, but I just kind of was like, well, it'll be close. So it's not exactly on, but I just end up coming in with that fence piece, and that'll cover up that line anyway, so you don't know that it's not exactly on there. So now I'm just playing with the images that I already have cut out, and I thought about putting that little goat down below. I thought it would have been really cute to put him down there. I kind of really wanted to put him down there. But ultimately, I decided to put him on the main circle piece so he doesn't move. You know, he's like taking a little nap. I bet it's a girl. The girls tend to be a little bit nicer than the boys. I'm just kidding. They're all the same. They're all cute. So anyways, I kind of had the little baby next to the mama goat there and decided to just kind of layer her on top of the bale and the other goat. And then I'm going to fold this one in. Now, when I folded it in, it just didn't, I don't know, I think it was because I didn't have that piece exactly where, I don't know. I think my blue piece kind of messed with my line up there. I tried cutting it off and trying it again. It didn't really matter. I'm pretty sure it was just I didn't have it folded down quite good enough with the bone folder there. So, but you're not going to see that white piece really anyways because, you know, it was fine. So just me being extra. So I did die cut out my other pieces for this one from that green cardstock, and I'm going to use the negative here as kind of a template to put in my stamped images. So I hadn't really decided where I was going with my images on this one, but I decided to stick with the You Goat This stamp set. So for my inside one, I wanted that on the rounded one. So the rounded one is definitely fits on that circle. So to kind of get the right rounding on this one, I probably should have gone in with my head over the top to make sure it was all lined up properly because it wasn't exactly right when I had it, you know. So just kind of working it, making sure that it's going to work. I like to do the trick of the other on top of it because that way I can see where it's supposed to kind of be, and I get it fairly close that way before actually, you know, trying to get it in there the other way. I don't know how to explain it, but it works well for me. And then of course I did decide to go the You Are on the other end here, and I did bring in, I think I have a different Lawn Fawn simple sentiment strip here, and I'm just going to die cut it twice. So I kind of place it where I want it, And then when I die cut it, I kind of move it over so then I get the flags on both ends. So for this one, I wasn't really sure on placement, but this kind of goes with that the last parameter of Craft Roulette, which was paper strips. So you'll see those 3 paper strips, the UR, and then there's, of course, the one that's underneath the image or my scene, and then, of course, the goat. And then on the inside, I just went with this one. I did come in with a goober eraser, so I don't want anything that's not supposed to be sticking. And then I kind of line this one up so it kind of goes with the grass there, so it kind of continues that scene down below on the other one. And then of course it opens and the little Frederick is jumping outside the gate because that's what little Frederick does. There's my finished card. So you are the goat. So let's go over our Craft Roulette parameters. I have my picnic colors, red, blue sky, green grass, brown picnic basket, and then of course my movement is on, my interactive is on the inside of the card, and then I went with farm, goats obviously, and my 3 strips of paper on the front. Anyways, go check out Craft Roulette. It's always a good time, and keep getting inky. Bye!